Hello, hello, hello. My name is Kay, and you're watching Comics Verse on Comics Verse YouTube channel. We're at the second year of FlameCon 2016. It's New York's first queer comic convention, and I'm sitting here with Max Wittert, who is best known for Gene and Scott, which is a comic that has been featured on Digital Spy and Buzzfeed, and it's super funny if you haven't checked it out already. I'm here to have a nice little conversation with him. Max, how are you today?
Terrible. No, I'm kidding. I'm good. Yeah, I'm great. No, I'm fantastic. Yeah.
Yeah, so this is the second year of FlameCon. Like, how does it feel to be a part of it? I'm not sure if you were a part of it last year, but how does it feel to be part of this convention?
Well, I was part of it last year, and this year is significantly less hungover. So I would say I'm on top of the world right now. It feels good. I don't know. I love meeting people. Being an illustrator, it's like it's such a solitary act. So it's like, it's kind of cool getting to actually interact with people as opposed to just throwing an image online and seeing numbers or something, So
That's actually interesting. Kind of going off the script here, I'm actually curious because you're saying that, creativity or a lot of art work can be very isolating or very lonely. Do you feel that you prefer working by yourself, or do you actually like kind of collaborating with people?
I love a bit of isolation. I think I benefit a lot from alone time, and it's definitely easier for me to come up with ideas if I'm just sort of left to my own devices and feeling very sort of unaware of other people. I mean, certainly certain collaborations just work really well, but for the most part, I'm sort of I'm an independent entity,
Well, it's nice to not feel self-conscious, too.
Right. And, but I still manage to feel self-conscious on my own, too. I find my ways. Yeah.
I mean, so, I guess, do you think that your personality or how you move through life kind of contributes to how Gene and Scott came about? How did this comic come about for you? Where was its origin?
Yeah, sure. I mean, the comic just sort of started off with and as many of my comics start off with, it's just sort of it was just a one-off gag that I thought would be kind of funny, and then it just sort of extrapolated out from there. The first Gene and Scott that I did was just all about Gene just being too lazy and just too weak to hold up a glass, and she's just oh, I can't even anymore, and it's if you take that, then you're okay, well, what would this person, with these powers, how would that influence the rest of their character? And then so you start to build out a whole character fleshed out from one or two little traits, and that's how it came out to me. But the characters are actually kind of loosely based on my roommates a little bit, and I get a lot of inspiration of their dynamic from my roommates. Yeah.
That's actually really funny. So would you say that it just happens to be that your roommates are a weird version of Gene and Scott? Because I think that while I was reading it, I've said this to you before, but it's really easy to kind of dislike Gene and Scott sometimes. They're the poster children of, comic book couples or whatever, but then it's really easy to kind of dislike them. And then it's funny because you take that and make it into a very specific personality that's really funny. Yeah. And like I said, I actually thought it was really fun. You made me like them.
I think if you looked at my roommate's dynamic, you wouldn't think of the typical Marvel characters or something, but in my head, that's what they're like. So my roommates, it's sort of one of them is very sort of do-gooder, always trying to do the right thing, and so he's sort of the Scott in my head. And then my other roommate is a little bit more sneaky and sly and trying to get away with stuff. And I think that that dynamic of those two types of people trying to get over each other is is just it writes itself.
Yeah, I mean, that's perfect. I love that. And I guess just to go take a different direction, I've taken a look at your artwork. I'm a huge fan just because it seems that not only do you make eclectic and are prolific too, but it seems from what I see, you not only are just well-versed in art, but you're kind of inspired by design and fashion as well. So as an artist that could have taken, especially in New York, as an artist in New York, you could have taken a lot of different directions with what you wanted to focus on. And I was kind of curious to know what about comic book illustration or, like the fabulous prints that you have here, like what about it was a little bit more compelling to you than, say, design or something else?
I mean, I continually, I'm always trying new things, and I have like a lot of influences. The stuff that you're seeing here is here because it got like a solid response on Tumblr.
If we're going to focus in on Gene and Scott and even Skinny Girls, like your other comic, it seems like you have a very specific, or not specific maybe, but you just have like a very specific kind of humor or sense of humor that really shows through in your comics. And how do you manage that?
What's like the most important thing in comics for me, and especially when like conveying like a humorous tone, is like pacing is like the most important thing to me. And in comics, it's like this really tricky thing of like trying to how do you make someone like stop for a second? Like how do you make them like feel a beat? Because like in comedy, it's all about those beats. And like I have a lot of silent panels. Like I have a lot of panels where it's like like somebody says something and then you just like see the person give them like a side eye for a moment. I don't want to do a lot of thought bubbles. I want to do like facial expressions, because it's like I want people to like see that the person is thinking, right, and not necessarily like know exactly what it is, but kind of feel it,
Yeah,
and I feel like that's something that's like relatable. It's sort of like it's more human to not know what somebody's thinking, but to sort of feel their emotion. Mm-hmm. And I feel like that's sort of something that like brings it to life a little bit.
Do you think that you would want to do more? But you were saying that you would want to challenge yourself. So would you want to do kind of a reimagining of other characters, or would you want to stick with Gene and Scott, or would you kind of want to, have you thought about anything like that?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely love doing Gene and Scott, and I plan to do more. I would love to figure out some way to to monetize these, these things a little bit more. I also I have a yearning to do sort of like my original stuff too, because it's like sometimes it can feel a little bit like if I were a musician that I'm just sort of like a cover artist or something, because I'm sort of like, even though I'm like recharacterizing them, it still sort of like has like this like pre-existing universe, and and so like my comic Skinny Girls that I haven't been able to work on very much lately because I've had so many other things going on, is something that I'm still really interested in like re-examining, and I want to do like a lot more like original content that's sort of like fully of my own creation.
Is there anything that you want to tell the internet or anything like that?
Thank you.
Well said. Remember to like, subscribe, and share YouTube content. We're on Comicsverse TV. We're on Comicsverse. You can also find us on Tumblr, Twitter. Also remember to check out our website, www.comicsverse.com, for podcasts, comic reviews, all of it, in-depth comics analysis. Check us out. This was Max Wittert. He's amazing. And you're watching Comicsverse, and that's all I have to say.